All right, recording has started. It's Tuesday, the first day of March, and we're doing some SAT review. So Kahoot, this is going to be section 4. This is the calculator allowed section. Now on the real thing tomorrow, you guys are going to get a little bit more than a minute per question, but these Kahoot questions, I give you guys a minute and a half for most of these. So here we go. Number 20. A study was done on the circumferences of different types of trees in the forest. A random sample of trees were measured, and each tree was marked to guarantee that no tree was measured twice. The sample contained 250 red maple trees, of which 40% had a circumference less than 35 inches. Which of the following conclusions is best supported by the data? A, the average circumference of all the trees in the forest is approximately 35 inches. B, approximately 40% of all the trees in the forest is less than 35 inches. C, approximately 40% of all red maple trees in the forest have circumference less than 35 inches. Or D, the majority of all the trees in the forest have circumference larger than 35. All right, you guys knocked that one out. So you guys saw that since the sample only consisted of red maple trees, you can make some generalization about a population only of red maple trees. That was the catch. Hopefully you guys caught too that B and C are switched. So B is yellow and C is blue today. Okay. Just to be consistent with the format of some of these questions. Now Melanie leading the pack. Number 21. What is the product of the solutions to that equation? So first of all, what are the solutions? And then find the product of those solutions. All right, pretty good. Let's see that one. Switch over here. So they gave you this top line. Now, what would the solutions be? Well, what could y be equal to that would make this a true statement? Well, y could be -4, because if it was -4, this bit would be 0 and the whole thing would be 0. Or y could be positive 0.3, because then this bit would be 0 and the whole thing 0, right? Those are the two solutions. So the two solutions are these two. But they wanted the product, which means multiply those two together. Boom, there you go. That's a pretty popular SAT type question is not only do you have to solve something, but then you have to do one little operation at the end, maybe add them or divide them or subtract them, or in this case, we got the determinant snail moving to the top. In that case, multiplying. 22, height versus time. To break a height record in a trampoline competition, a gymnast repeatedly bounced on a trampoline using increasing amounts of force to achieve greater heights. The graph represents the relationship between time elapsed and the height. Right? How many times was the gymnast at a height of 15 feet? Here's the 15-foot mark right here. How many times? So exactly at that height. Yeah, so the answer was 2. Now, of course, that was all in one jump, but one was on the way up and then on the way down. All right, got determined still. Keeping the lead, and Ian is on fire. 23. A writer's salary was $81.34 per assignment. After a promotion and a raise, her salary is now $88.51 per assignment. Ooh. To the nearest 0.1%, by what percent did the writer's salary increase? Yeah, 8.8%. Switch over here. So I can show you guys a couple of variations to get to the answer. Okay. Now, the way I would have done it is, but I have in black ink. So you could do, how about this? Let me give you guys sort of a counter example that might help you frame the question if you didn't know how to set this up. What if our salary went from $81 to $81, from 81 to 81? What percent increase would that represent? Yeah, 0% increase. Now that doesn't mean she's receiving $0. That just means it didn't change, right? So could you come up with some kind of equation that would lead to that? Well, maybe do the new divided by the old minus 1, right? Okay. And that's exactly what I did here. New divided by old minus 1. So that's 1.088 minus 1. So that's 0.088. And then as a percentage, just multiply by 100 to get to 100%. Okay. So 8.8% increase. Now, you could also do it this other way that I did in blue ink down here. So you could do new minus old, all divided by old, all times 100%. It's the same answer. Okay. So a couple different ways to get to that. Oh, we got determined still on fire. Moving into number 2. Ian, Gabby, and Melanie. Number 24. X and h of x. Now, these are values of a linear function. It means they lie on a straight line. What is the value of h of 6? Ooh, one winner. So I like to think about this as a graph. These are the 3 points that they gave you. So this dot, this dot, this dot. Okay. So x, h of x, right? Like x, y values. Right? Now they did tell you that they lie on a straight line, so that was helpful. Maybe I want to figure out the equation of that line. This ends up being the equation. Y equals 4x minus 7. You do rise over run, you get the slope, however you get. Let's test out one of these points. For example, the 0.35, just to pick one of the points, right? If you plug in 3, you should get 5. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. Okay, it checks out. And the other two do also. Okay. So then if you plug in 6, 4 times 6 is 24. 24 minus 7 is 17. Okay, also lies on the line. That's the answer. The y coordinate is 17. All right. Guys can do that. Ooh, poo on fire to the top. That's still gonna come back. It's gonna get those math questions. 25. U.S. presidents age 60 or younger when inaugurated. So we got 42 up to 60, and then the frequency of presidents. There are 35 of these guys. What was the median age for that list of presidents? The median age. If you know what you're doing, go ahead. If you forget, remember there's different kinds of averages when people say average, they're usually referring to the mean, you add them all up, divide by the number, but that's not what's going on here. Median is like the middle number. And so if you line them all up left to right, like who would be in the middle? What's their age? If you get a mode question, then mode is just the most frequent number. You're asking for median, the median age. Oh, all right. So never got that one. So flip over and show us how to solve this. Here. Okay, so my first two columns, I just copy pasted the table they had. So age is 42 through 60, and then the frequency associated with each of those. Then I made my own columns where I'm accumulating going from youngest up and then from oldest back. So we got one president here, then plus this guy brings up to 2, and then plus these 2 brings up to 4, plus 2 is 6. Okay, so all the way up. And then going from here, I got one guy, and then plus this guy is 2, plus these 4 brings up to 6. Right, and then see, I'm heading towards the middle for both of them. I'm trying to figure out if I line these guys up from left to right, who would be the guy in the middle of the line? And right somewhere around here. Okay, well, it looks like it might be a toss-up between 52 and 54, right? Well, not exactly. Because looks like the 18th person from each end of the line. So the 18th person would be 54 from this end. It would also be 54 years old from this end, right? Because like the next person would be 54. That's why the answer is 54. Now, the person who's 54 years old, he looks to one side of them and he sees another person who's also 54. He looks to the other side and sees someone who's 52. Right? Again, if you line them up, left to right. So the answer is 54. That's the middle person. One really common application of median is salary, right? So for example, let's say it's like 10 years from now, we're all get some salaries of like what's the average salary, right? And then Jeff Bezos walks in the room like, oh, I guess we're all gazillionaires. That's not really representative in terms of the mean. The mean doesn't really tell you anything that's very representative. So you want the median. In the XY plane, we got that graph. 4x squared plus 20x plus 4y squared minus 12y equals 110. That does represent a circle. What is the radius of that circle? All right. A couple of guys got a couple guys. So the answer was 6. And so why is the answer 6? Right. Think about what a circle should look like. How we figure. Do you guys remember a standard form of a circle looks like this? X minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared is equal to r squared. Okay. Where hk is the center of the circle. Remember that they're subtracting that off. That could have been their question. They could have asked what is the center of the circle. Right? Okay, so it's all equal to r squared. So whatever number comes up on the right side of the equation, remember if you want the radius, you have to just square root it, and that's what I have to do at the end here. And so how am I going to take this, which they gave to us, and turn that into standard form of circle? First of all, even if they didn't tell you it was a circle, you would know that anyway, because there's both an x squared and a y squared, and they have the same coefficient in front of them. Okay? So I factored out that coefficient of 4 and then divide that over just so I can get like a x squared and a y squared. Right? And then now how am I going to make this look like the standard form? Well, I'm thinking FOIL backwards, right? FOIL. See what numbers would how can I get this 5? This 5x, right? So how about something like this? How about x plus 2.5 quantity squared? So if I FOIL that, f, remember this times itself, x times x is x squared, bing, x times 2.5 plus x times 2.5, because outside, inside, that's up to 5x, bing. I mean, that's why I chose 2.5, so I can get that back. But there's a problem, because then what about the last term, 2.5 squared? I don't really want that. So one of two things you can do. You can either subtract it off, like I did here, or I don't know, maybe you had a teacher that told you to add it to the other side. That could work too. I subtract it off so that all the stuff in the brackets is equivalent to all the stuff underlined. Do the same thing for the y's. Y squared minus 3y. How can you get that to some kind of like FOIL type form, right? So how about y minus 1.5 quantity squared? So f, I'm thinking FOIL, right? Y squared, so that checks out, minus 1.5y times 2, that's minus 3y. But I'll have that extra plus 1.5 squared. All right, so subtract that out to balance it. So now all the bracket stuff is exactly equal to this. Okay, so we're getting something that looks closer to this standard form of the start point. Oh my. Take these two constants, add them over. And very conveniently, it adds up to a nice round integer that happens to be a perfect square. So the fact that it's equal to 36, what's the radius again? About 6, right? Got square root it. Ooh, I got my own question. What is the center of that circle as a coordinate? So negative 2.5, positive 1.5. So going from the origin, you go left and then up, right? Right? All right. Because you might get that question tomorrow. What is the center of the circle? I know that too. Got Poo, got Determined Stale, Ian, Gabby, and Melanie. Number 27. Oh, this one. Okay. The resistor ratio A to B is the ratio of the current in amps through two resistors connected in parallel. All those jaggedy resistors down there are in parallel. We'll talk about this in this class physics a few weeks from now, so after spring break. The ratio of resistance in ohms of two resistors is B to A. Okay, so going through a resistor, the current is A to B, but the resistance is B to A. Kind of makes sense. The more resistance, the less current. In the diagram below, the circuit is powered by a battery, passes through resistors X, Y, and Z. If resistor X has a resistance of 24 ohms, what is the resistance of resistor Z? Okay, so I'll kind of help you guys guide you guys through this. I see resistor X and resistor Z. So the amount of current flowing through each one. Resistor X has 5 amps of current, resistor Z has 15 amps of current. So Z to X, wouldn't that be like a 3-to-1 ratio? Because 15 over 5, there's 3 times as much current going through a resistor Z. Okay, so the fact that it has more current, do you think that it probably has less resistance? In fact, do you think that resistor X has 3 times the resistance of resistor Z? Okay. And if X is 24 ohms of resistance, and that's 3 times resistor Z, then what does resistor Z have to be in ohms? And the answer is 8. Ooh, a couple of you guys got it. All right. So that whole minute and a half ticked away while I was guiding you guys through that. So let's get a second look at that. Okay. So the ratio of the resistor, actually, I think I got these upside down compared to how they defined it, but it all works out the same in the end. Okay. Basically, the resistors of the ratios of the resistors in ohms, resistor 1 over resistor 2, let's say some fraction, like A over B. Well, the ratios of the currents for going through the same resistors has to be the reciprocal of that, like B over A. Now, if you know that, you can set up a proportion that directly relates the resistances to the currents. Okay? Resistor 1 over resistor 2 is equal to current 2 over current 1, right? It's like upside down, right? Again, more resistance, less current, checks out. Okay? Now take that fraction, copy paste it down here. They told you 3 of those 4 values. We got 5 amps of current versus 15 amps of current. And the one of the resistors was 24 ohms. So you set the proportion, you get 8 ohms. I think there was a misleading answer if you got the ratio backwards. So it was like 3 times 24, which was not the answer, but yeah, there you go. So 8 ohms. What's the answer? Ooh. Pooh and Snail getting more points. 28. Satellites orbit Earth so that it takes p seconds to complete one orbit when the satellite is a meters from the center of the planet. P equals 36 times 10 to the negative 8 times a times the root a. By the way, it's related to Kepler's third law of planetary motion. That's a to the power of 3/2, if you like that. Which of the following gives the approximate orbital ratio in seconds per meter for a satellite that is a meters away from the center of Earth? Seconds per meter. You arrange the formulas to get seconds per meter. Ooh, one winner. There is one. Who will it be? In suspense on that. Let's go over how to do this. So actually, this is related to something that I want you guys to get out of this class, physics, which is if you know what units you're looking for, sometimes that can help you construct an equation that would lead to what you're trying to find out. In this case, okay, so seconds per meter. Didn't they tell you that time period P what would be in seconds and distance from the center of the Earth could be in meters? Oh, that could be like P divided by A, wouldn't it? And P was given as this expression in terms of A, and well, A distance from the center of the Earth was just itself. So this divided by this, boom, boom, done. That's it. Okay. We'll take as a one thought I had because I did try to solve this 2 different ways. I was wondering if they meant seconds per meter. Did they mean like seconds per meter of like circumference orbit, or did they mean seconds per meter like meters like radial distance from the center of the Earth? They did mean radial distance from the center of the Earth. So I think something like how many seconds would you tag on if you increase by like a meter or something like that. Anyway, ends up being this, but just one of the A's cancels. So yeah, that's it. Who got the points? Oh, Pooh on fire. Extending the lead. Number 29. The scatter, oh, I'm gonna guide you guys through this one. Scattered plot below shows number of soft drinks and thousands of gallons sold by fast food restaurants over a 15-year period. You guys see the time ticking along left to right, and then soft drinks goes down and then back up. Which of those equations best models that scatter plot? So see how it kind of looks like an upright parabola, sort of upright parabola? That immediately narrows it down to 2 answers, answer choices, because I got upward parabola, upside down parabola. So it can't be C or D, right? Also, you can just pick a single point, maybe like an intercept, and very quickly narrow it down to the answer. For example, at time 0, do you guys see that there have been like in the high 400s, right? So between A and B, I'm looking at a huge positive intercept or a huge negative intercept. Well, it's got to be the positive one, right? Okay, Richard? Yeah, so option A. Do you guys follow that? Okay. So you can look for certain clues, like is it going to be a parabola up or down? You can pick specific points. Intercepts are good because you just plug in zeros. All right, got Pooh, got determined snail, Ian, Gabby, Melanie. Leading class. on a number line, two different points are both 5 units from the point with the coordinate -6. The solution to which of the following equations gives coordinates of both points? You might draw this out. You might actually solve for the two answers and see which equation is consistent with that. Ooh, two winners. Oops. All right, so this was a single axis number line. You can think of it that way. We're looking for 5 units away from -6, right? I went ahead and drew it out right here and said, well, what would the actual answers be? And the actual answers are -11 and -1. So each of those is 5 units away from -6, right? Sometimes AP or SAT will ask questions kind of like they don't actually ask you to solve the question. They say, what equation could you set up that would solve it? And this is like that category, right? So see, I want the difference of y and -6. So the difference of y and -6, that's like y minus -6, right? I want that difference to be 5, but I don't care if it's positive difference or negative difference. So that's what the absolute value bars are for, right? Because we go either way. Right? Now minus and negative, that's like plus, and that's why that's the answer right there. Okay. That's it. Ooh. Wow. Flame and Pooh, at the determined snail, Ian, Gabby, Melanie. More points. 31. A baking company produces ice cream cones, each of which has an internal radius at the top of 4 centimeters and internal height of 14.75 to 15 centimeters, so pretty much 15 centimeters, right? What is one possible volume, rounded to the nearest cubic centimeter, of an ice cream cone produced by this company? Ooh, somebody got it. Oh, now for this, you have to know the volume of a cone. And that is actually one of the things that SAT does give you. So you'll want to memorize some things, like you want to know standard form of a circle. You guys want to know the quadratic formula, have those memorized. But they do give you a reference page at the front that has this formula. But I do want to go through with you guys a way that you can actually memorize this yourselves. So pi r squared, you guys know that's the area of a circle, right? So it's like the area of the circle, okay? Then multiplied by height, wouldn't that be like this area times this height would represent a cylinder, right? Area times height is a cylinder, right? But then anything that comes to a point, you throw on the factor of 1/3. So if it's like a pyramid, we do the rectangle times height times a third, and in this case, a cone, circle times height times a third. Okay. Anything that comes to a point, it's like a 1/3 factor. Okay. Then they gave you some numbers. They told you R, 4 centimeters. They told you H, call it 15 centimeters, plug. I got 251 cubic centimeters. They did actually give you a very narrow range of values for H. So if you plug each of those in to get the boundary conditions, it goes from 247 to 251 cubic centimeters, but rounded to the nearest cubic centimeter. And any of those would have been acceptable. This is a non-multiple choice question. So you had to actually bubble in the numbers. So if you did 247, 248, 249, 250, or 251, those were all acceptable answers. Okay. You guys good with the ice cream code? Ooh, 4 points for Poo Poo. Number 32. A group of coworkers decided to buy their boss a $400 birthday gift and to split the cost equally among themselves. When 3 of the coworkers decided not to contribute, the remaining coworkers divided the $400 birthday gift equally, but each had to increase their share by $30. How many coworkers were in the group originally? Give you guys a hint. Do a system of equations, and your variables are how many coworkers and how much did each originally contribute. Solve this with a system of equations. Let me see if you can set up a correct system. Even if you don't get to the answer. Because the choices might be like, which of the equations would solve the problem, right? Oh, nice. Okay, that was a really tough one. Actually, I don't even know if I would have solved that in the amount of time I gave you guys, but here's the answer here. So remember the story, but it goes like this. There were $400 split among X coworkers so that each was contributing some amount C. So I went with X and C as variables to give you X and Y. Okay, so X is the number of coworkers and C is the individual contribution originally. Okay. But then remember, 3 coworkers dropped out. So the coworkers left behind would have been X minus 3. And if you take $400 and divvy among those, then the cost went up by $30 per person, right? So C plus 30. This is your system of equations. Right? And again, like that variable could have been an answer choice because well, just what's the system that would solve this? And then, right? But we got to go the extra step of actually solving that system. So you have a substitution, you have elimination. I'm going to use elimination. If I do the bottom equation minus the top equation, you see how that immediately eliminates C, right? And then the only variable left behind would be X, which is good because we're trying to solve for X. How many coworkers were there originally? So now this does become quadratic because, well, it's going to be like an X, or wait, no, did I lie to you guys? No, I think it will be eventually. But you got to get a common denominator, or at least that's one way to do this. I can multiply this one by X over X, multiply this one top and bottom by X minus 3 over X minus 3. Remember the theory of why that works is you're technically multiplying by 1, but a common denominator. Cross multiply up the X times X minus 3. It's going to look like this. Okay, now this is starting to get looking like traditional quadratic type shape. This took me another piece of paper to finish. Okay, so let's copy paste it from the last line. Okay, divide both sides by 30, looks like this. Distribute that out, subtract over the 40. Oh, look at that. AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0. Now, if you wanted to break out the quadratic formula, you could, but you can also factor this. So factors like this, So there are mathematically two answers. There's +8 and there's -5, but you're not going to have a negative number of coworkers. So the answer is only +8. Okay. So that one was pretty long, but you do that. It was also a non-multiple choice. Yeah. So you had to set up the system of equations. Which way is? Oh, time out real fast. Okay. So in case you're watching the video at home, I think I accidentally not have that. Okay, so okay. If you're watching the video at home, you very quickly see what I did here. Blah, 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 blah. There's the first half of the process, then flips, and then there's the finish. All right, now we're going to switch back over. Share screen. All right. Oh, wow. Who is on fire? Got determined snail. Is okay. In second. Ian, Melanie, Gabby. Number 33. What value of k satisfies that equation? All right, 11. I should shorten time on that a little bit. Remember, I'm giving you guys 90 seconds for most of these questions, but on the real thing tomorrow, you only get closer to 60 seconds. Okay? So this one was just see, distribute that 3, distribute this negative. Group like this, 5 terms, 2 of them have the k, tag those together, get 7k. Other 3 are constants, add everything over 77, divide both sides by 7, k is 11. Okay, so straightforward math there. You guys have seen throughout this class. Back over. Ooh, all right. 34. The line with that equation is graphed in the xy plane. What is the y coordinate of the y-intercept of that line? Help you guys out here. There's a hard way and an easy way to do this. The hard way is you could put it in slope-intercept form and just take the intercept from that, but that'd be a long process. The easy way is anytime you're talking about a y-intercept, what is the x value of every single y-intercept? Y-intercept, what is x equal to?
0.
0. Can you just plug in 0 to that equation and then get the answer? That first term will go away. 5 over 6 times y is equal to 1. Multiply both sides by 6 over 5. Y is equal to 6 over 5, or 1.2. That's it. All right, just go. 6/5. All right, that's doing good. Doing good. About 35. Oh, we got height and feet. Okay, Robert and Lewis each have 5 rose bushes, and the heights of the bushes are shown in the table. Robert has 5 bushes. Lewis has 5 bushes. The mean of the heights of Robert's rose bushes is 0.3 feet greater than the mean height of Lewis's rose bushes. What is the value of H, which is Lewis's mystery rose bush? Oh, all right, somebody got it. Okay, let me switch over and show you guys how to set this up. So I think in principle this one's all right, but took a lot of ink here. So if you take the average of Lewis's, hold on, wait, I forgot which guy was which. To take the average of one guy's rose bushes, it was, remember, it was 0.3 feet more than the average of the other guy's rose bushes. The first time I set this up, I accidentally put the plus 0.3 on the wrong side, but remember, if this is more than this, then you have to tag the plus 0.3 over here so that it equates. Okay. I multiplied everything by 5. There are 3 terms here. Multiply everything by 5 just to get rid of the fraction. So this times 5 becomes this. But then, okay, you've got a bunch of numbers. Just subtract everything over except for H. H is 5.8. Okay. I think we got time maybe for one more. 4 points. 36. On the XY graph, y equals -4x squared plus 25x intersects at, okay, well, 0, 0 could work, but also at CC. What is the value of C? Here's a hint. Plug in C for X and C for Y. See what you get. All right, 6 is the answer. Let's flip over, show you guys this one. We'll go up to the winner's podium. So, another interpretation of this is if there's line y equals x, whereas across, so 0, 0 would work. Right? If you plug in C for x and also C for y, because that was the coordinate, then do a little algebra. There you go. There's the answer. C equals 6. Okay. Let's check out the winner's podium. Oh, did I just? Oh man. Oh, back to podium. There we go. Podium with the bronze. Ian. With the silver. Determined snail. And the gold. Poo. And confetti dance. We got Gabby and Melanie round out top 5. All right. Nice job, guys. So I think you guys will do awesome tomorrow on the SAT. Do your best, and I will probably see you at the end of the day tomorrow.